Hey guys, this is Dan
and Jacob
from Fisher Jeep Adventures, and we had published a video about how to change your oil in the Jeep JLU with the 4-cylinder gas engine in it. We got a lot of comments about a couple things that would make the video a little bit better, so we decided to remake it. So one of the couple of things we're going to add is how to reset your oil service light, and then how to properly put on the oil filter and how many turns to put it on once the gasket connects to the gasket base. So if this is something you're interested in, please check out the video. First thing you need to do is start your vehicle and let the engine warm up. All right, the point of starting the engine is to let the engine warm up, and then that gets the oil nice and warm so that when you drain it, it all comes out. It also picks up anything that's been sitting around inside the engine and lets the oil kind of take that and take it out of the motor. And as you can see here, the oil change required light is on, and so we will take care of that toward the end of the video. Once the engine's warmed up, you just got to get all your supplies ready. In this case, we have an oil drain pan socket set to get the drain plug out. We have our oil filter, our oil filter wrench, the 5W30 synthetic, full synthetic motor oil, which is what's recommended for this motor, and then a creeper so you're not running around on your back. So Jacob's gonna pop the hood, and we're gonna spin off the oil cap just so that everything drains once we let the drain plug loose. That's it, and you just leave it off. All right, he's got the drain plan in place, and then you can see the drain plug. Now that uses, if you have standard sockets, it's a 1/2 inch. If you've got metric sockets, it's 13 millimeter to pull it off. So all you do is you take a socket wrench with the appropriately sized socket, break it loose, and then spin it off with your hand. So in this case, try and keep your arm up. That way the oil that's draining out of the oil pan doesn't get on your arm and run into your sleeve or your jacket, which will happen if your hand is below the drain plug. Now we try and keep a little tension on the threads as you're unscrewing it until it skips once, and that way you can pull the plug away cleanly. There we go. And that's what happens. But at least it's not running down his arm. All right, Jacob's gonna clean the oil off his hand real fast, and then we're gonna, as the oil drains out of the oil pan, we're gonna get ready to pull the filter off.
Make sure you wipe the drain plug off after you pull it out. Where's that? And this vehicle's got 48,000 miles on it. The drain plug came out clean, and there was nothing on the magnet, so all's good so far. Haven't had any problems with this motor. Jacob has it in his, I have it in my Jeep, and we both love it. All right, so on these 2-liter 4-cylinders, the oil filter is right next to the oil pan on the driver's side. And it's got a small European filter. We like to use a 3-jaw kind of tensioning device that looks like that. You can buy it on Amazon. When you can lift it out to get to the proper size, and as soon as you turn it, it clamps it down. It makes getting that filter off really easy. And then you're just going to turn it counterclockwise, and then just once you get it loose and breaks the seal, just let it drain into the pan a little bit, and then you'll be able to spin it all the way off. Make sure that you're not getting any oil on the ground on the driveway. When you're ready to pull it off, it seems like it threads out forever. Starting to rattle.
And once it gets loose, you can kind of hear it rattling on the threads.
There it goes.
There it goes. All right, so if you look up there, that silver mating surface, you want to make sure that you wipe that off before you put the new oil filter on it. All right, as we get the new filter prepped, dip your finger in some clean oil and just coat that gasket real quick. That allows it to slide when you're tightening it up to the mating surface on the motor so that the gasket doesn't bind and pop out. Motors that have a vertical filter, you can fill that filter up with some oil before you put it on. But since this filter kind of sits at an angle, draining down, we're not going to do that. So it'll fill up as soon as you turn the motor over. All right, Jacob's going to go ahead and wipe that surface off, and that just makes sure there's no leftover oil or any dirt that may have been that came off when you unscrewed the filter that dropped down on that surface. So it just gives it a nice clean space. An extra added step, doesn't take much time. All right, so he's going to grab the new filter. Now he got the one that has the actual grip stuff on the bottom of it, which makes it a whole lot easier when you put it on there. So you just line it up and just slowly wait until the threads catch. And then once that, you just spin it on. And as soon as, spin it on lightly, and as soon as the gasket touches that surface, it'll tighten up.
Like right there?
And then you're gonna do a whole turn. And then you're done. That's all it takes. So the manufacturer, or at least of the filter, says 3/4 to a turn. To me, if you stop it, if you spin it until the filter stops, it's about a turn to get it tight. You don't want to over tighten it because then it'll be hard to get off. So about 3/4 of a turn to a turn is just right. All right, once the oil starts just dripping, that means basically the pan's empty. You're going to wipe that surface too. And then just insert the drain plug a little bit, and then that'll stop any extra flow that'll come up, and then you clean it up one more time. And it should thread in there really easy. Take and wipe just that little bit underneath it. And this drain plug has got a gasket on the outside of it. And we're just gonna put it back on, and then you just want to pull it till it's tight, and then just a little bit more, but you don't want to over tighten it and possibly strip the pan out, strip the threads of the pan out.
You hand me a...
All right, so we're ready to put the oil in. Now this motor calls for 5 quarts of 5W30, so it perfectly comes in one of these 5-quart things. I personally like Valvoline products. They're full synthetic. It's just one of those things. You're not going to go wrong with any of the oils that you purchase. The one thing you do need to make sure is that it's SN+. So the API SN+ is what's used for the turbo engines. It's really important, no matter which brand that you get, that for these Mopar 2-liter turbo engines, that you have an oil with the API viscosity ratings that are appropriate for the engine. In this case, it's the API SN+, which is what Mopar recommends. All right, so this is probably the easiest part of the oil change, is that since we know we have 5 quarts of oil that needs to go in there, all you need is a funnel, and it goes right down into that. And all you got to do is just pour the oil in. Now something we do is we turn the container up into the funnel itself and let it just drain out, so all the remaining oil drains out of the container. All right, once you've filled it up, the cap just inserts back into its normal place and tighten it up until it stops. When we talked about the oil type, see how it says API SN+, and the SAE 5W30. So it tells you right there on the cap what kind of oil you need, and then the API SN Plus is what you need to have on the oil that you purchase regardless of the brand.
All right, once you have the oil filter on and you've filled the engine back up with oil, and you want to reset the engine light. So the oil life reset, all you have to do is turn the ignition to the on run mode, not start it. You're going to go to the oil life submenu, and you're going to push and hold the OK button until the gauge resets to 100%. So we'll go through that process right now. All right, when we check the manual, it's on page, their oil reset instructions, if you need them, are on page 61 of your vehicle service manual. All right, so first step is just to push the button once, and that's going to put it into the accessory on mode.
With your foot off the brake.
Foot off the brake. And then you're going to go to your menu, and you're going to scroll up until you get to the oil service life. And then you're going to see how it says hold OK to reset. All right, you're just going to push the oil, and there it goes back to normal. All right, so after you reset the oil light and you've checked for leaks, the only thing left to do is to dispose of your old oil and the oil filter. So we live in an area where there's auto parts stores just about basically everywhere you go. And so we'll take the used oil and up to our local auto parts store and recycle it for free. So that could be a Napa, an Advance Auto, AutoZone, or Riley's, or a Walmart Supercenter if it has a tire and service bay to it. So again, recycle it for free and don't let it get into the environment. Since we change our oil about every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. Just
7. I changed it 7.
Since Jacob changes his oil at
7,000 miles.
We also do a tire rotation. So we combine the two things together. That way the tires get a good rotation pattern, especially with the spare, to maximize the amount of tread life you have. We check the air pressure at that same time to make those tires last as long as possible. So Jacob's gonna rotate the tires on this thing next.
That about wraps it up.
All right, well, that about wraps it up. You know, we'll leave a link in the description below for the products that we use today. We do have an Amazon affiliate account. So if you need to buy oil filters, oil filter wrench, anything, or anything on the list of what's in the vehicle options, please consider using those links. It just helps us out. It doesn't cost you anymore. This is Dan.
And Jacob.
From Fisher Jeep Adventures. And I hope you guys got something from the video, and we'll see you next time.